Welcome to the Careers in the Cloud podcast,
where we talk to people just like you who are doing incredible things with their career in the ecosystem. Today, I'm joined by someone very special, especially for the times I think that we're all enduring today, not just in our personal life, but also especially our professional life. Suhail Mirza, I could go on and talk a ton about why I think you've done so much good for us already at Montreal Associates when it comes to mental health and well-being, but I'll let you introduce yourself and just tell us and the viewers a little bit about what you do.
Thank you for that generous introduction. Very brief background. I'm a lawyer by training. Don't hold that against me. But the last 20 years, I've been focused in the staffing sector as a writer, a city editor, and working with investors, buying and selling companies, and also in the healthcare sector, where I've had my own business, employing 250 people, looking after the elderly. But the key focus for today is that I'm an inner wellness coach and speaker, and working across globally in many different sectors, helping people to focus and really access those emotions that they want more of. So that's really a suite of different things that I'm involved in.
Amazing. And no one would know this unless you work at Montreal Associates, but Suhail has done a few sessions with us actually internally to help us with our own well-being, working in recruitment, working in sales. It's a lot of stress on the body, on the brain, on the heart, on everything. So he's been doing a lot of sessions with us. We've seen a lot of value in it, and we kind of want to put this out there in the form of a webinar next month to all of our candidates, all of our clients who are interested in maybe looking into how they can improve their own well-being. So kind of on this, I just want to ask you quickly, man, because you said you work globally across a few different industries. These last 20 months, give or take, what's that been like in your world exactly?
Well, where do you start? Where do the words end? Unprecedented, unbelievable, incredible. It's been really challenging. Obviously, that people have been suffering grief. They've had anxiety. It's been something nobody could have predicted. So it has been an astonishing time. It's been a privilege for me because I've spent a lot of time working with the NHS, obviously the publicly funded health system here in the UK. Working with clinicians and non-clinicians who have been on the front line of COVID, helping them with their well-being, and also in the private sector across many different verticals: energy, technology, industrial workers, Far East, Europe, North America. So it's been a very busy time, and personally, it's been a challenging time. Family in and out of hospital with COVID, but we all made it. So many challenges, lots of opportunities.
Tons. Very good.
And I think I was going to say, obviously, I know Montreal Associates. I've been involved in the recruitment sector for 20 years. Your business has got a fantastic reputation. It doesn't matter whether it's cybersecurity, data, BI, Salesforce, CRM. You as well, Moritz, here, there in North America. What's it been like for you guys? Because technology has gone through amazing transformation and acceleration over the last 20 months.
Yeah, I think there's a tremendous amount of pressure on companies, obviously, if they haven't adopted certain technologies, and not even just technologies, but ways of working, processes, change management. Like, this is putting a lot of strain, a lot of pressure on companies. That's sort of filtering down from your C-level to the rest of the people who work there. Throw that in with remote working, people getting pulled back to work, people getting pushed back to home, people being pulled back to work when they don't want to go back to work, all these different things, pulling people in different directions. And on top of that, you have there are a lot of people out there, a lot of companies who are really trying to capitalize on, I would say there's this big gap where a lot of uncertainty leads to a lot of people thinking about their mental health, right? There's tons of different implications in that respect. And there are some companies and people, it's at the end of the day, it does provide a big business opportunity, but there are those, like in any business, who are after providing value and getting paid for that, and those who are in there trying to make a quick buck. So not just in our candidate market, but I think in general, people are seeing all these different things and what might be good for you, what might not be good for you, what do they listen to? And at the end of the day, I think a lot of it only adds more stress to kind of what they're seeing, whether it's from socials or TV or whatever, it doesn't matter. So I think that's as crazy as all that sort of sounded, I think that's really maybe what I'm hearing anyway, are going through a lot of people's heads, right? The perceived security of what they thought they had in their job, they're kind of uncertain anymore, and there's sort of a lot to, I guess, to be seen on what's going to happen, right? But we'll dig into more of this as we move closer. I mean, fingers crossed, knock on wood, but it looks like we are moving into that new normal that people have been talking about for like 2 years. What broad challenges are candidates and employers facing in the staffing market from your perspective?
It's a great question, and yes, touch wood. Let's hope it is a new normal, etc. If we step back a bit and take a look at the big picture, that might inform us. So there's big trends which you'll know have been there for a long time: the fourth industrial revolution, automation, reskilling, diversity and inclusion. These are meta trends that have been accelerated and are now playing out. The big thing that's coming over the top of that for the labor markets and the staffing markets has been what people have called, or McKinsey have called, the great attrition. People leaving their roles. In the US, I think the stats show 15 million people leaving their roles in since April this year. Or you can call it the great attraction. So from a candidate perspective, across many verticals, and they are nuanced, as you know, what I'm seeing is there is uncertainty, because actually is remote working, is hybrid working, crunching opportunity in the short term. I think in the long term, it's going to open up massive opportunity in all sectors, particularly I think in your one. And the same advice that people have always had for freelancers: if you specialize, if you really network properly, there's great opportunity. If we look a bit closer to what's going on in the labor market, we've got three other sub-factors which are informing how employers need to react. The need for flexibility, skill shortages because they can't find people in every vertical, and then the overriding issue of wellness. So right now there's an imperative on employers, if they're going to make that a great attraction rather than attrition, to focus on those things, particularly wellness, that can help the people who they work with, who they employ, and who they engage.
Yeah, and it's no joke, man. We've had people recently, take breaks from their contracts just because like it was too much stress, like it was too much pressure on whatever project they were working on. I'm talking like months of breaks, like 2-3 months breaks before they decide to go back to work, if they even go back to that company, because they're thinking about like, is this really worth my health, no matter how much I'm getting paid? So we're seeing it, and that kind of leads me to my next point. What effects are you now seeing with candidates and workers in terms of that wellness and well-being piece?
Well, I mean, it's the pandemic's accelerated, it's pervasive, it's profound. The Lancet, which is a very respected medical journal over here in the UK, published on the 8th of October, literally 2 weeks ago, a study looking at 204 countries, right? So this is a global analysis, and it found, unsurprisingly, huge impact, negative impact. 53 million more people now depressed, 2/3 of that cohort women. So we're seeing that affect very unequally. 76 million more people suffering from anxiety, 26% above pre-pandemic levels. Let's take a couple of other examples. In the UK, reports are showing 54% of workers are burnt out or on the point of being burnt out. And you know this in North America, this is not new. Mental health is not a new issue. In the US, I think the stats showed that the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Administration, 1 in 4 Americans over the age of 12 had either a substance abuse or mental health disorder prior to the pandemic. So that's just accelerated. So you've got all of these things. That this is real. We're even, I know people have a hard time with lawyers. Even the lawyers in the UK now, it's being reported, are hiring burnt out coaches to help them deal with all this. So it's a huge issue. And one of the things I've seen, Maurizio, is lots of talk in helping people who are employed by a company in terms of supporting them. However, I have seen a huge lacuna, a massive gap, where it comes to freelancers, self-employed contractors. I'm not seeing a lot of people taking the initiative. Who's looking after their mental wellness and well-being? And I'd like to therefore genuinely applaud what Montreal are doing in terms of offering that, because that is something which I do not see ubiquitous across the market.
Yeah, man, and you're helping us offer that as well, right? Because they're often the people who, they have to spend some time sometimes looking, they're not working, they're looking for their next project. And even if it's 1 week or 1 quarter that they're looking, it's still super stressful time, right? When you're not working, you got a family. So And
Absolutely.
when they are working, they're usually put under the most amount of stress because they're supposed to be these hired guns who know exactly what they're doing at all the time, but they're humans too, right? Freelancers
Absolutely.
and contractors alike. So, what tools? Let's talk about this. Have been used to support workforce well-being, whether technological, whether traditional. What can you weigh in on us for that?
Well, I think one of the good things that's come out of this as a meta statement is that it's now okay to talk about mental health. It's now open, and people have opened that debate. So, on the technological side, I've seen. I'm looking at the UK, Europe, US, where I've been working. People have turned. Employers have been offering a swathe of tools for their workforce. So the ones that we will know, like Headspace or Calm, that people can
Sure.
access straight away. Now, they're good and they're very useful. And I've seen tools which are AI-powered real-time surveys of how people are checking in. So those are some of the technological tools which are allowing the employers to get a gauge on how people might be to preempt. So I think that's encouraging. What I'm also seeing, which I think is interesting, is that great attrition we talked about, one of the reasons why people are moving, why they're looking, they want meaning, purpose, real interaction with real people, with their managers, with their colleagues. So I'm seeing a shift now where the tools that we've talked about, the apps, are all fine, but you're still at home on your own. You're still going to need to pick that app up, put it on, listen to it. So there's a swing now to businesses offering real-time webinars, group training, and more traditional tools which are drawing on traditional wisdom that allow people to make a rapid change. So that I'm beginning to see a shift towards, even from a remote perspective, and also where restrictions allow in person. So it's a mixture of the technological tools will take you so far, but now I think there's a demand from people who are working. We need to be treated as individuals and personalized support.
Sure. And I'm far from a well-being expert, right? But I have a feeling that oftentimes, as much as motivational words and speech can be helpful for somebody who's, finding himself in a bit of a rut, in that respect, for lack of a better words, um, motivational words and speech can be helpful, but if nothing actionable is given to the viewer who's suffering, in regards to mental well-being, oftentimes they kind of just end up back in that same spot rather quickly. Like, I could swipe through Instagram or TikTok or even LinkedIn now and get all these motivational videos on, how to improve my mental health and all this sort of stuff. But a lot of it, people are seeing, a lot of it's just talk, right? It's not necessarily actionable things that we can use to try and sort of change our lives. What strategies have you seen that have been helpful to people, and what can people expect from the webinar that we're going to be putting on with you in November?
Well, it's a great point that you're making. I think motivation, words, that shot in the arm, we all need that. That's wonderful. And through my own journey in wellness, which has gone back over a decade, I was good at that stuff, but it requires effort and it's hard work sometimes to bring yourself to do that. I was always looking for a place where actually we could go beyond the rational, beyond the discursive, into something which was perhaps deeper. So the strategies I'm seeing that are working are part of a bigger revolution that's taking place in the whole wellness and well-being and psychological sciences. Very, very briefly, 100 years, psychology has been focused on pathology. Why do people act in a deviant manner? The last 20 years, it's now looking at the psychology of possibility, positive psychology, and it's drawing on not just one model, global models. So those are the strategies I'm beginning to see where there's a revolution. We're treating individuals as a whole person, but connected to everyone else. That's where the revolution is coming. I think we're just at the beginning. In terms of the webinar, I'll be sharing some of that information about how that trend has come in, sharing my own personal journey, all the stuff that I've been working with. And I make two promises in all webinars. Is one, that the things that I share are actionable. They are meant to be simple steps that everybody can take immediately and not require huge amounts of time, that can allow us to get access the emotions that we want, accept ourselves as individuals and fully, forgive ourselves, and also in a powerful way discard some of the shortcuts and routes that we might be taking to cope with challenges, which is a massive issue. So those will be the things we will be going through, simple steps that have worked, that draw on this global trend for a much more inclusive approach to wellness.
Of that, especially the part where it's inclusive, right? Not everybody touches on that when you hear about different, say, seminars or whether it's a webinar, in-person event, videos. It's not really taken into account. I think it's super important nowadays. Suhail, so this webinar, end of November, when exactly is it? When should people expect this to happen?
This will be taking place on the Thursday, the 25th of November, 5 p.m. if you're here in the UK, but Eastern Standard Time, noon. So just before lunch break, and it'll be an hour, very interactive. And I'm looking forward to the privilege of sharing that stage with you on that day.
The registration for it, I feel like will come out in a couple of weeks. Today's what? Today's actually the 21st. So by next week, end of next week, when everyone is seeing this video, so when you are watching it now, you should be able to actually register and get signed up and join. One more time, if you want, Suhail, just like wrapping it up. 3 key things that they can expect if they join this webinar, short and sweet, concise. What would that be?
3 things will be authenticity, real actionable steps that they can take immediately, and a mechanism which they can allow themselves to access their highest form of well-being, their true authentic self on a daily basis. That's what we're looking for, is to access the emotions and the quality of life we want on a daily basis.
Excellent. Very good. Well, hey, man, I'm super looking forward to putting this on with you. I think it's going to be massive, not just for the candidates we're working with, but anyone really who's working right now, who's feeling like they could use a little bit of help when it comes to well-being and mental health. I know I could use it. I'll be there for sure. I look forward to seeing you guys there too. Take care.